80A, right smack in the middle. Let me get to our own personal tissue bowl. We'll get our own personal tissue bowl. Yeah. So 80A. Tanan Hosan. The Mishnah says, you have this flask, Shenaflu L'Sochamayim. So you have a flask of Meichatos. You have this special ashes and water that is used on day 3 and day 7 of someone's purification process. If they came in contact with the corpse, they got to sprinkle on day 3 and day 7. The special it's called Meichatos, meaning the waters of the chatos. The ashes and the water mixed together. So now, what happened? Water fell inside. A little water fell inside. So now there are going to be 3 different factors that are going to play into this. But first, let's see what it says. Rabbi Eliezer Omer. So what do? You should do 2 sprinklings. You always have to do 1 sprinkling. But now that water fell inside, you should do 2 sprinklings. And somehow you're going to cover your bases. We'll see in a second. Chachamim say no, it's invalid. Postly. So now there's going to be 3 factors. First factor, you have two liquids. You have 2 liquids that are mixed together. You have the ashes and the water of the purification. We'll call it the purification waters, I guess. The purification waters. So now, and you have another liquid, regular water fell in. First question is, do those things mix together? Do you say that in every drop of purification water is regular water or not? Or they don't mix it? So that's the first question. The second question is, do you need a minimal amount of purification water? Or even as long as it's even the smallest drop, that does the job. Third question is, let's say you do need a minimal amount. However, when you do 2 sprinklings, do you say they can combine for 1 amount? Or they're mitzaref? Let's say you need, a certain measurement, and then you do 2 sprinklings. Do you agree that 2 of them can combine for the amount that you need or not? Those are the 3 factors. One is yesh bila, it's called. Is there a mixture? Can 2 different liquids combine? Second is there a prereq for a size, an amount that has to be sprinkled? And even if there is, can they combine, or you have to get it all in at once? So now, Bishla Rabbanon, the rabbis who say this whole thing's invalid, when water falls in, that's very good. Sabri yesh bila, they hold there is mixture, which means that in every drop of purification waters, there's also regular water. And they hold the hazah tzricha shir, and they hold that there is a minimal amount of purification water that has to be applied. And they hold the ein mitztarfen lahazos. You can't combine the 2 sprinklings. So that means that if you hold that there's a mixture in every little bit of water, it'll contain some water and some purification water. Okay. And they agree you have to have a minimal amount. So how do you know when you did the first shot, the first application, that was the minimal amount of purification water? Mixed in that is regular water. Let's say you need, I don't know what the small amount of liquid, measure that, quart, an ounce. Let's say an ounce, right? Let's say in that ounce of purification water that you sprinkled on the person. Let's say you would need an ounce, but if there's some water mixed in, it could be half an ounce and half an ounce. And they hold that if you're going to do it again, your half an ounce and half an ounce can't combine to a full ounce. So because of these 3 things, that's why they invalidate when water falls in the purification water. So it all gets mixed together. There's a minimal amount, and you have to do it all at once. So therefore, they say it's going to be invalid. The question is going to be, Ela Rabbi Eliezer Mai Kasava. Rabbi Eliezer, who says you can do 2 applications and you've covered your bases. What does he hold? Now we have 3 factors. Do the 2 liquids combine? Is there a minimal amount? And if there is a minimal amount, can they combine? When you do 2 applications, can they combine? So we're going to have 3 answers. We're going to continuously ask on 2 of them. So My kasavar. What does Rabbi Eliezer hold? So let's go one by one. Ikasavar ein bila. If he holds that there is no mixing together, purification waters and regular water, they don't mix together at all. So then, what did you gain? Remember, Rabbi Eliezer holds two applications, you've covered your bases. If the liquids don't combine, so just because you sprinkle twice, therefore what? Maybe it was both water. You don't know. So then what'd you gain? Nothing. So that can't be the answer. Elakasavar, you have to say he holds. Yesh bila. Of course, there is some kind of mixing. They do mix together. The water and the purification waters mix together. So now let's go through. Does he require a minimal amount? Yes or no? Ikasavar ein hazat tzricha. If you say he does not require a minimal amount, there is no minimal requirement. So why'd you sprinkle twice? Lamali shtei hazos. If you hold them mixed together, that means in every drop of purification water is regular water. But who cares? As long as you have purification water and there's no minimal requirement, you've covered your bases. So why does he say you have to sprinkle twice? One should be enough. You have to say, Ela kasavar hazat shechashir. What you have to say is that there is a minimal requirement. Okay. Now, if there's a minimal requirement, you're still left with one more question. Does that minimal requirement have to be done all at once? Or you can do it in a few shots. If I need an ounce, and I go right now and I sprinkle 2 ounces, so you could assume half an ounce was in the first sprinkling and half an ounce in the second sprinkling, and I total to 1 ounce. So, the ikasavar ein mitzdarfen lahazos, if you're going to say that he holds, they do not combine together. So then, kimaza shtei hazos, ma'ihave. So then doing it twice, what does that gain for you? If you need a minimal amount, and you can't do it in different applications all at once, so then what did you gain by 2 applications? They don't combine with each other. Okay. The inami mitzdarfen lahazos, and even if they do combine, mi yemar demole shura, and even if they do combine, but who says you hit your amount? How do you know how much water is in versus how much purification water is in there? So maybe you have 0.9 of an ounce of water, only 0.1 of an ounce of purification water. So just we did it twice, so then you have now 0.2, let's say, of purification water, and let's say you need a whole ounce of your minimal requirement. So that's where we're stuck. What does Rabbi Eliezer hold? Why does he require 2 applications? Here come 3 answers. Amar Reish Lakish. La'olam yesh bila. Yes, there is a mixing. Water, liquids do mix together. And the hazat tzricha. And of course, there's a minimal requirement. What are we talking about? You have 1 amount of purification water, and then corresponding to that, you have 1 amount of regular water. And that's all you have in your vessel. So therefore, when you apply it twice, you're for sure good to go. In your vessel is an amount of purification water and is enough to cover your bases. Now water got mixed in. Okay, and we agree that water mixes with purification water. Fine. But if you only have, let's say you need, 1 ounce of purification water, and you have that in your vessel, in your flask, and now 1 ounce of water falls in. You have a total of 2 ounces. Now, in every drop of purification water is also some regular water. Fine. But if you go and apply 2 ounces, you for sure applied 1 ounce. So, and you have to say that the 2 applications can join together, because what you're saying now is, even if I only got half my purification water in the first application, when I do it again, I for sure covered my bases. So that's Reish Lakish's answer. There is combining, there is a prerequisite amount that's needed, and they do combine. We're talking about where you have the exact amount of water filling corresponding to the amount of purification water, and that's how you know that you've covered your bases. We asked before, how do you know? Maybe it's always going to be only a little bit of it. No, if you do the whole thing, then you for sure covered your bases. That is Reish Lakish. Fine. Rava Amar, Rava says, La'olam yesh bila, the liquids do combine, which means in every purification water, there's going to be a little bit of regular water. However, he holds the hazah ein tzricha shir. You do not need a minimal requirement. Well, if you don't need a minimal requirement, so why are you applying it twice? There's no minimal requirement. So whatever you did, there's some purification water in there. You should be good to go. So basically, we're right, but the rabbis put a certain restriction. The knasa de kansa rabbanan ki heichi delo mishtarish lei. So literally, the word knasa means a punishment, but here, I think it's more of a preventative. They were worried that you're gonna gain from the extra water that was put in. Meaning, they don't want you to pour regular water into your mechatas, into your purification water. So how are they going to prevent that from happening? If you pour any water into your purification water, you're going to have to sprinkle that on the guy too. That way you won't benefit from the water at all. We want to keep our purification water, just have it, no other water mixed in. If you're going to mix some water, and you know we're going to tell you, sprinkle that water on the guy too. So therefore, you're going to get no benefit from it. Hopefully, that's going to prevent people from letting water into the flask that we want to preserve. So that's Rava. So basically, you only do one application. The second application was a rabbinical preventative. Rav Ashi is going to have a lot of questions on him. He's going to be the main. We're going to attack him the most controversial. Rav Ashi Amar Ein Bila. Ein Bila. So therefore, the two liquids do not mix, meaning in liquids mixed together. This is going to come in because we had a whole mishnah of all the blood mixed together. 4 applications with 4 applications, 1 with 1, 1 with 4, up and down, up. So then this Rav Ashi is going to be very controversial because he's basically saying that when you have 2 liquids, they don't mix together. They stay separate. We don't say that in every drop of purification water, you have a drop of regular water. No. Okay. So since that's true, you have to, therefore you apply 2 applications. Now, the background here, the Gemara doesn't say, Rashi fills in, is that Rav Ashi is picking up on the language of the Brisa. The Brisa says only a little bit of water was added. So that's really what Rav Ashi wants. Only a little bit of water was added, and the 2 things don't combine. So Rav Ashi says that you don't need a minimal requirement. However, he does not agree to Rava that they make some kind of knas, some kind of preventative measure. Rather, he says you need 2 because when you do 2, it's impossible that you didn't fulfill your minimal requirement. Meaning, if you have purification water and only a little bit of water fell in, and now you do 2 applications, Rav Ashi says it's impossible that you didn't for sure cover your bases and fulfill your minimal requirement. So yeah. And it's all based on the fact only a little bit of water fell in. That's it. That's what he wants. So okay. So that is Rav Ashi. The main part of Rav Ashi really is that they don't combine together. That's going to be the point of dispute. Fine. But before we attack Rav Ashi, let's see. Meisvei Rebbe Omer. Rebbe said, L'divrei Rebbe Eliezer, who's the one that we have 3 opinions about. It says explicitly in the Brisa, Hazah kol shehu mitaheres, Hazah ein tzrich hashir. It says Hazah, sprinkling, does not require any minimal requirement. Now, Reish Lakish was the one that said there is a minimal requirement. Rava and Rav Ashi said that there is no minimal requirement. So the Brisa says explicitly, Hazah ein tzrich hashir. The purification waters do not have any minimal requirement. And therefore, Hazah, Mechza, Kasher, Mechza, even if you sprinkle purification waters that have regular water mixed in, which is invalid, you're still going to be good. So the question is, what's Reish Lakish going to do? It says explicitly that according to Rabbi Eliezer, you do not need a minimal requirement. Turning the page. So that's one. I don't know if we're going to answer them. Yeah, it's a difficulty on Reish Lakish. Now, the next Bryce is going to come attack Rav Ashi. The Otanya, the Brisa says explicitly, Behedya. So now this is back to our all the blood cases. What happens if you have blood, chatas blood that has to be applied on top of the red line? and you got mixed together with Ola blood that has to be applied below the red line. What happens? Rabbi Eliezer, he's our guy. What does he say? Omer Gitain Lamala, Vatachtonim Alulo. You can apply it all on top, and that Ola blood that's on top, you can view it like it's water. Rowan, you view it like it's water. Okay. So now, here comes the Gemara. If you go like Rav Ashi, that liquid do not mix together. So amai alulo. Why is it good? Why is it good? Dilma kayahev. One second. Sorry. One more thing. Rabbi Eliezer said you apply the blood on top, and then v'hatachtonim alulo means that okay, fine. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, like this, you apply the blood application on top of the red line, which is the right thing to do for a chatos. The extra blood you're going to view as water. Any remaining blood you'll pour under the red line. It'll just be considered like shirayim. It'll be like remnants. So water above the red line. Yeah, we're gonna get there actually, but yeah. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, basically any blood that's really Ola blood that was applied on top is going to be viewed as just water, and any remainder you're going to apply below the red line, and you'll fulfill your Ola obligation. So now, the Iamris Ein Bila, if you'll tell me that things don't combine, so Amai Alulo, why do we say this is good? Dilma Kayav Al Lamata. If things don't mix together, so you applied blood on top of the red line and you applied blood below the red line, what could have happened? The Ola, which is supposed to be below the red line, might have been applied above the red line. And the Chatas, which is supposed to be above the red line, might have applied below the red line. If you say things mix together, it's very good. Because for sure, if every drop of blood contains an Ola and a Chatas, for sure when you apply it on top of the red line, you for sure fulfilled your Chatas obligation. And the Ola part of it will be considered like water. When you apply it below, you for sure you fulfilled your Ola obligation, and the Chatas will just be remnants. Fine, that's good. But if they don't mix together, so why is it good? That's the question on Rav Ashi. Says Rav Ashi, I'll get out of it. Hakamai eskinon, kegon the ika ruba elyonim. So you actually have rove. The majority of your blood is actually from a chatos, which has to be applied above. And what did you do? The kayav lamala shir tachtonim ve'od. Let's say you have 10 ounces of chatos blood, and you only have 2 ounces of Ola blood. So you have 10 that's supposed to go above and 2 that's below. So what did you do? You applied above at least 2 ounces plus. So if you have 10 ounces of blood that's supposed to go above and 2 ounces that goes below, what did you do? You took at least 2 plus. So you took 3 ounces, 4 ounces, and you applied it above, because that way you'll for sure get some of the above the red line blood applied there. Yeah, so if you have 10 Ola and 2 Chatas, so the Chatas, if you have 10 Chatas and 2 Ola, so then you took the 2 Ola that's supposed to be applied below, and instead of applying 2 ounces, you apply 3 ounces above. Therefore, for sure, you some of the above the red line blood was applied. Fine. So that's that. Says the Gemara, but hold on, va'od, it says hatachtonim alulo. But the Brisa itself says that the when you go and you apply the chatas blood below the red line, so that's going to work even for an Ola. So what are you saying? I took all the blood under the red line, that measurement, applied it above the red line plus. Okay, but then what did you have left over when you applied the blood below the red line? Now we could easily assume it was all blood, because it's majority blood that's supposed to go above the red line. It's majority of achatas. So if you've already used up in measurements the amount that goes below the red line, so what's left? A majority of blood that goes above the red line. And yet the Brisa says when you go and you apply stuff under the red line, you fulfilled you fulfilled your obligation. The question is, how? How are you sure, if you hold that things don't mix together, how are you sure that when you went again and applied the blood under the red line, that was an ola? If majority was chatas, you can say it's a chatas, and therefore you have not fulfilled your obligation. And yet we say you did. To that we say, katani l'shem shirayim. Sorry. Hadaktani olo katani. Question. L'shem shirayim. What it means to say is that you applied the blood under the red line, l'shem shirayim. You had in mind that it's going to be just remnants. Not that it's going to go for my sacrifice obligation. Rather, it's just going to be for remnants, and therefore we are good to go. Yeah. Okay. Good. So that's going to be a big debate coming up end of today or tomorrow, is the remnants that are poured. So simply understood, you pour on the horizontal part on the altar, not the vertical part. And there's going to be a dispute. Can you pour it on the vertical part because it'll drip down to the horizontal part? Does that count or not? You have to go directly on the horizontal part. Yeah, very good. That's going to be a big debate. Yeah, very good. Okay, good. Very good. So, Brera. That's your favorite word. Yeah. See, I'm not so holy. My head went to like a bunch of English words. I'm like, what's he talking about? When you hear Biwa, you say Brera, Bila. These are the things, right? Bobby, those are, that's, yeah. Okay. No, it's so funny. Who says the same B word that you were thinking of? Okay, fine. So, Tashma, yeah. Borscht, the Russian borscht, yeah. So, Tashma, Nasalamata Velo Nimlach, you went and there was blood mixed together and you applied it below the red line and you didn't ask any questions. So, what happened? Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Yachzor, V'yitain Lamala, V'hatachtonim Alulo. So, you have blood below and blood above mixed together. So, we assume it's both good blood, and you only applied it below. So says Rabbi Eliezer, just go and apply some above also. Now, same question. If things don't mix together, so what did you gain? It could be that what you're applying above now is supposed to be below. And when you apply below, it's supposed to be above. How does that work? So, yeah, so that's the question on Rav Ashi. Hachanami, Rav Ashi gave the same answer. Beruba El Yonim, you assume that most of the blood over here is blood that goes above the red line, Achatas blood, the Kayahiv Lamala, Shir Takman. What you did is you applied below the amount of blood below the red line, the Ode, and a little more, therefore for sure fulfilling your obligation of blood above the red line. But it says V'hatachtonim Alulokatani, same as before. It sounds like, but you fulfilled your obligation with the blood below the red line. But how? Maybe it was blood above the red line because things don't mix. No, the shame shirayim. You're just pouring it for the remnants and not for the sacrifice, and that's how he'll get out of that one. Okay, another question. Tashma nasna lamala below nimla. Opposite. You put the blood above and you didn't ask any questions. So now elu ve'elu. Sounds like elu is going to be both Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim agree. Modim sheyachzor v'yitain lamata. Everyone agrees you should take some of the blood and apply it below the red line. The ve'elu olulo, and both sacrifices have been fulfilled. You applied some above, you applied some below, you're good to go. So, according to Rav Ashi, that different liquids don't mix together. Why? Maybe the below the red line was applied above, and above the red line was applied below. How do you know that you fulfill your obligations if things don't mix? If things mix, very understandable. If things don't mix, then it's not understandable. Hachanami, beruba el yonim, majority of the blood is above the red line blood, and the kayahiv lamala shirachton va'on, and you applied above the red line the amount of below the red line plus. You have 10 ounces of above the red line and 2 ounces of below the red line, and it's all mixed together. You'll take 3 ounces of blood and apply it above. Therefore, for sure, some above blood was applied above. Sounds like both your requirement of above the red line and below the red line fulfilled your chatas and your ola obligation. But how? Who says that? Let's say below the red line was good. So it says mikatani elu ve'elu modim. It says elu ve'elu alu lokatani. It doesn't say they both agree. It says that they both are good. It's both good. It doesn't say they both agree that it's good. Meaning, if it said elu ve'elu modim that it's going to be good, that means to say that Rabbi Eliezer agrees that when you went again and applied the blood below, it's going to suffice. Says the Gemara. It doesn't say that. It just says elu ve'elu alulo. Both sacrifices have been atoned for. But what are you going to say? Katani seva, katani seifa son l'rabbanim. The Amri Yesh Bila. You're right. That part that says that both sacrifices are going to, you're going to fulfill your obligation of fulfill your blood application for both sacrifices. That's only going to go according to the rabbis, not according to Rabbi Eliezer. Only the rabbis that say that blood mixes together will agree that you fulfilled your application for the blood below the red line. Rabbi Eliezer does not agree to that. Right, what's that rationale? How do you have two liquids and you?
Yeah, how do you have two liquids?
Well, is it the same case? I'm thinking we had yesterday. We're going to see it again. At Rabbi Yehuda holds min b'mino when you have two of the same species. His case is you have the blood on Yom Kippur, the blood of two different animals mixed together, and the Torah still calls them both. No, but that's different. That's just saying that's not nullified in the majority. That means that you don't apply nullification. Right, that's the question. What? You have to say, yeah. That they're in the same cup. You can't discern it, but in every drop, you don't have the other one there. You're asking why not? Like oil and water.
Well, oil one won't mix.
Right, so these things, when you have two bloods together, they don't mix. Do I know, is it more practical or more halachic? Either you say it's practically it doesn't mix, or you say halachically you can't assume that it totally mixed in with each other. That's a good question. Yeah, what the meaning the opinion, which is the majority opinion, seems like Yeshua that things do mix is more understandable than the opinion of Ein Bila. That's a good question. Oh, here. Yeah, Rashi earlier says the one that says Ein Bila means that you don't rely on it. Means that right, it's not saying practically, it's not saying a reality that they're not arguing about a reality. Does it? They're not arguing about science. It's just saying that not always do you have it fully mixed in. So therefore, you can't rely on it. That's Rashi says, you can't rely on it. Meaning, not always when you have two things mixed together, does every drop always mix into the other drop 100% certain with 100% certainty that therefore you can rely on it. Rather, you can assume that no, it doesn't, and therefore you cannot rely on it. Yeah, good question. That's also true. Yeah. If blood is different density, how do you know? Right? But we usually don't like making debates about reality because you just go look it up. So no, sometimes it sounds like they argue about there's a debate when you have a flavor goes into a vessel, right? That day. The debate, does that taste that went into the flavor that goes into the vessel, does it get at all sour? If it's been there for 24 hours, we assume that it got sour. Let's say it hasn't been, does it get sour enough? One opinion says yes, one opinion says no. What are they arguing about? So we usually assume that they don't argue about reality will tell you, does it yet? But can you learn from there? Is it significant? Something like that. Yeah. Okay, fine, very good. Tashma says the next question on Ravashi. Two different a Bechor and Meiser was our example, I believe. Two different animals that each require one blood application got mixed together. So a one application got mixed with a one application. So what do you do? So our Mishnah told us, Yinatnu b'matana achas. Just do one application. Now hold on. The Amr's ain bila. If you say things don't mix, which I guess really means that we don't rely on that they fully mix together. The Amr's ain bila. So amayi yinatnu b'matana achas. What is one application going to help you? Maybe it's a bechor, not a meiser. Maybe it's meiser, not bechor. How does it help you? So Dilma mehaike abu mahailoka yahiv. Yeah. Maybe you applied from one animal and not from the other animal. Okay, so that's a question on Rav Ashi. Rashi will tell you, Kigon shenis arvu achas be'achas. That really, it sounds like you have one application. You have one amount. You have the amount of one offering mixed with the amount of another offering, and it sounds like you're gonna sprinkle it twice. You're gonna sprinkle the amount of one offering and the amount of another offering. Therefore, for sure, covering your bases. So really, when it says in the Mishnah, you do one application, it really means you do one application of each animal. That's what it means. And therefore, according to Rav Ashi, and therefore you'll be good to go. Okay. Matan arba matan arba. Let's say you have a four application with a four application. So what do you do in that case? So same question. The Mishnah just said that you would apply four and you're good to go. You covered your bases. If you hold thing that you can't rely on the mixture of these two offerings, and how have you covered your bases? Maybe it was only from that animal and not from that animal. The answer is it's arbu arba arba. You really have four blood applications got mixed together with four other blood applications, and then you're going to apply four from each for Rav Ashi, therefore for sure covering your bases. Okay. Matan arba b'matana achas. Now you have a four application mixed with a one application. So one of the sacrificial sacrifices, achatas and ola and asham, got mixed together with a bechor. So now what do you do? So now what are you going to say? Okay, so now that was a debate, Rabbi Yeshua. That was a big debate, Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer about Baal Tosef or Baal Tirif, if you're adding or to the Torah or not. So Rabbi Eliezer said you have to do four applications because if not, you're detracting from the Torah. And Rabbi Yeshua says you only are allowed to do one because if you do more, you're adding to the Torah. So that was that debate. Now, if you only apply those, so maybe it's from one animal, not from the other animal. A question on Rav Ashi. So says the Gemara, maybe you'll do what we just did for the last four cases. Maybe you'll say that really there's an amount from each animal here. There's the full amount of the blood from a four application animal mixed with one application, and therefore you're going to apply both. But if you're going to apply both, how's that going to work? Amar lo Rabbi Yeshua harehu over al Baal Tosef. So if you're going to apply four applications and then apply one application, when Rabbi Yeshua responded to Rabbi Eliezer that you violated Baal Tosef by doing Rabbi Yeshua, if you do more than one, you have violated Baal Tosef. So says the Gemara, Baal Tosef me hecha. So if you apply five applications according to Rav Ashi, four to cover your bases of four and one to cover your bases of one, so then Right. So the question is, Hacha Baal Tosef mehecha. Where is this prohibition of Baal Tosef? Because for Rav Ashi, at the end of the day, what did you do? You did four for one and one of the other. Now, it's just funny because to do this, you have to. I don't know how you're going to work it out. Which one do you do? I don't know. Meaning, when you do four applications, maybe that was from the Bechor. If you hold things don't mix together, okay, I don't know. But either way, if you're doing four for one and one for the other, so in Rav Ashi's world, what's the Baal Tosef? You've done 1 for the Bechor and 4 for the others. If it's all mixed together, and and if it's all mixed together, and you just apply, there's only 4 applications really mixed together. Just one of them happens to be from a Bechor, and you apply one of them. If you do more, then it's gonna be it'll be Baal Tosef. But according to Rav Ashi, you had really 5 applications worth, and you did 4 for the 4 application, 1 for the 1 application. So where's the prohibition of Baal Tosef? And that's basically now a sort of a knockout to our original understanding of the debate that we start off with today. Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim that argue when water is mixed together with the purification water. We're going to say now, Ela Amar Rava, Bibalo Lo Pligi. When it's just mixed together, they don't argue. When do they argue? Ki Pligi Bikosos. Not when they're just mixed together, but they're arguing when a cup of one got mixed with the cup of another. So that's their debate. Only when a cup gets mixed with another cup. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not mixing within a container, you're mixing containers.
Right. According to Rav Ashi, that Rabbi Eliezer says, Ein Bila, you're going to get stuck with all the other questions, and especially this question. So what do you say? It's not that they're all mixed together in one cup. You have 1 cup of one, and that cup is mixed together with other cups. But the blood itself is not. You don't have 2 sacrificial blood in one vessel. You have 1 cup of one and a bunch of cups of another. And now what do? That's the debate. On that, the Chachamim said. Sorry, Rabbi Eliezer said you have to apply. Sounds like 2 cups now, and the Chachamim invalidated. So let's see. So Rabbi Eliezer Islay Rowan, L'Rabbanan Leslay Rowan. So now, according to Rabbi Eliezer, he's going to apply this principle called Rowan. So how is this going to work over here? That you have 2 cups now, and 1 cup is purification water. Another cup is regular water. You don't know which is which. Rabbi Eliezer says you sprinkle both on the guy. And so what do they argue about? Come and say you can't do that. They argue about the principle called Rowan. So one second. Right, so how's that going to apply over here? 1 second. Meaning you'll apply one of the cups onto the guy and you'll view the other one as just water. Just same way you do that in our Mishnah. You apply the stuff above the red line and view the other sacrifice as just water. I guess so too here. So too here by the purification of water, you'll do the same thing. You apply both cups. You for sure covered your bases, and you'll view the other cup as just water. No, is that what they say? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Good. I know, but we're not. Are we going back to the original debate about the Mechatas? That's the Ella, no? We're not going back to that case where we start off with today? I thought we were.
In the case of writing an additional application of the blood, in the case of the Mishnah, do not present any difficulty comes up in years because it's expressed in
so nothing to do with the purification of water.
Considers the extra blood as water. The rabbis do not subscribe to the principle of viewing, and therefore rule that all the blood should be discarded with no rather than.
Got it. Okay. Okay, fine. So basically, all the debates of all the blood mixed together with Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim is not talking about where it's mixed together in one vessel, rather it's different cups mixed together. And according to Rav Ashi, Rabbi Eliezer is going to say that really the liquids don't mix together. You can't rely on that. And all these debates are all going to be about all cups that are mixed together. And therefore, every time Rabbi Eliezer is going to allow it, he'll just say that when you apply it, whatever is supposed to be on top of the red line is going to fulfill your requirement, and the other parts that are there is going to be viewed like it's water. And that the Chum is saying no, can't do. You can't disagree with the whole principle of viewing. Okay. Yeah, fine. That's the Gemara. Is that really true? They don't argue about in one vessel things mixed together. That's not their debate. The Hatanya, Rabbi Yehuda says, they don't argue about blood of a chatas mixed with blood of an ola, sheyikare, that you could bring up. And if blood was mixed together with Redeya Venirba, with sodomized animals' blood, that for sure they all agree you cannot bring it up. Shlo yikare. On what did they argue? Al-dam tamima shenis ari b'dam b'ailasmum. They argue on blood from a pure animal that was mixed with blood from a blemished animal. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Yikare, Bain Bebal, Bain Bekosos, Vechacham Omer Lo Yikare. So what do you see? Rabbi Eliezer says you could bring it, whether it's mixed or whether it's mixed with cups. And Chum is saying in both cases you can't bring it, but clearly they argue even where it's mixed in one vessel. That's what it says. Rabbi Yehuda, Aliba, Rabbi Eliezer, Masni, Bain Bebal, Bain Bekosos, Verabanan Bekosos Pli. No. Have to say is Rabbi Yehuda said that Rabbi Eliezer applies this rule whether it's mixed in one vessel or whether the cups are mixed together. But that where the rabbis disagree is only where the cups are mixed together, but not where it's mixed inside one vessel. Okay, and then tomorrow is going to be about the horizontal and the vertical place. When you view it as you're pouring the remnants on the bottom, so it sounds like it'll work even if you pour it on the vertical part, it'll drip down to the horizontal part, and that's going to be up for debate if that's going to be true or not. Yeah, I think so.